Recently, the news that Chinese electric vehicle company Weltmeister Motor is laying off employees, closing stores, and possibly even going out of business sparked heated online discussions. The company has a glamorous history of being one of the first to build electric cars in China and touted as the new force in car manufacturing. It was also called the Four Little Dragon of New Power by netizens, along with other Chinese motor manufacturers NIO, Xiaopeng, and Li Auto. The company also achieved the #1 sale volume of new power bicycle models in 2019, but now it is in a sales slump and in debt, with its buildings and headquarters in Shanghai laying vacant and in despair. According to the prospectus submitted to the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, from 2019 to 2021, the accumulative loss of Weltmeister is 13.632 billion yuan. Gross margin was always below -40%, which is equivalent to a loss of 10,000 yuan per vehicle sold, and the net loss in 2022 is likely to be even higher. Since its inception in 2015, from February 2017 to March 2022, Weltmeister Motor has conducted 12 rounds of equity financing, totaling $31.5 billion. The company's shareholder structure shows that, in addition to the founder, Mr. and Mrs. Shanghai, who hold a total of 30.82%, investors including industry giants such as Baidu Capital, AGL Property, Tencent, and SAC Motor, as well as capital from business magnates Li Ka-shing and Sterling Ho's family, and local state-owned platforms from Shanghai, Guangzhou, Hubei, and Hefei. The financing is large, but burning money is also fast. Weltmeister Motor has 2 production plants in Wenzhou City, Zhejiang Province, and Huanggang City, Hubei Province, with a combined production capacity of 25,000 units and 621 dealership stores nationwide. When compared to other leading new car makers, Weltmeister Motor stands out with the leadership of entrepreneur Freeman Shen. Shen brings a wealth of automotive experience to the company, having previously served as vice president of Geely Group and overseeing Geely's acquisition of Volvo, the largest overseas acquisition in the history of China's automotive industry. Hu Haijin, co-founder of Weltmeister Motor, also came from Geely and was the person in charge of research and development for Weltmeister Motor's first production platform. However, this also poses a potential problem for Weltmeister Motor. Since many people in its R&D team come from Geely, its production platform is considered to be modified from Geely's gasoline-powered models. In 2019, Weltmeister Motor was sued by Geely Group for infringement of trade secrets, demanding compensation of 2.1 billion yuan. This lawsuit is still ongoing. In fact, the company has not been able to develop a dedicated platform for electric vehicles. Perhaps because of the inherent defect of the oil-to-electric process, many owners complained about the problem of wind leakage in the chassis of Weltmeister EX5 model. The company's reputation has been overshadowed by a number of power lockouts and spontaneous combustion incidents in recent years. In 2020, the Weltmeister model had 4 spontaneous combustion accidents within 35 days. In 2021 and 2022, there were fire incidents. On April 18, 2022, a Weltmeister EX5 in a charging station in Haikou City suddenly caught fire a few minutes after the power was cut off, but fortunately there were no casualties. The company's products and services are also subject to criticism. This year, Weltmeister Motor has experienced a wave of employee pay cuts, dealership closures, parts outage, and supplier lawsuit, resulting in a chain reaction like falling dominoes. In the face of the increasingly competitive new energy vehicle market, Wilmar has reached a critical moment of life and death. Nevertheless, Weltmeister Motor has fared better than many of its counterparts in China's new energy vehicle industry. Despite burning through over 30 billion yuan in financing, the company has managed to produce at least 1 vehicle. In contrast, there are numerous new energy car companies that have exhausted all their fundings and yet fail to produce a single car. For example, Byton Motors, which burned 8.4 billion yuan and failed to launch a car onto the consumer market. Range Automobile, which raised more than 10 billion yuan and was once considered to be the most stable car company in new energy, did not mass-produce a single car before it closed down. In addition, there is Singulato, which has raised 17 billion yuan. After 8 years of operation, the car is still in the PPT stage of mass production. And of course, there is Evergrande, According to its management, Evergrande has invested a total of 47.4 billion yuan in the new energy vehicle industry, but until December 30, 2022, Evergrande has only delivered 324 vehicles to customers. Currently, the company is entangled in numerous lawsuits and facing ongoing legal battles as its creditors pursue legal action against it. Of course, there are also many new energy vehicle companies that were set up simply to obtain state subsidies, and countless others have gone out of business. To support the development of the electric vehicle industry, China began implementing a subsidy policy for electric vehicles in 2009, which has since been adjusted several times until it reached a range of 4,800 yuan per vehicle for plug-in hybrids and 12,600 yuan per vehicle for pure electric vehicles by December 21, 2022, when the policy officially ended. In addition to direct subsidies, the authorities are also offering tax incentives. With a mere 10% purchase tax exemption, you can save 2,000 to 3,000 on a 20,000 yuan plus electric car. According to an article published by NetEase, the total amount of subsidies for the entire Chinese new energy vehicle industry exceeded 300 billion yuan in 2015 to 2017 alone, and the cumulative investment in the entire industry chain has exceeded 2 trillion yuan. The subsidy policy has led to the rapid development of new energy vehicles in China. Data from enterprise searches show that from 2013 to 2022, the annual registration volume of new energy vehicle-related companies in China jumped from about 5,100 to 239,400, an increase of 47 times. By early 2023, the number of existing new energy vehicle-related companies in China reached 605,800. China has become the world's largest producer and market for new energy vehicles since 2015, and many rising new energy vehicle companies have been ambitious in entering the internationalized market. However, subsidies are also accompanied by controversies, such as the opposition to subsidies by the United States and other Western countries, leading to trade disputes. For example, a number of car companies were caught in the subsidy fraud controversy in 2016. Yangtze Motor, once the star of China's new energy vehicle industry, filed for bankruptcy in July 2022, revealing the behind-the-scenes realities of the industry's development in China. Under the lure of huge government subsidies, Yangtze Motor and other participants without relevant background and experience rushed into the industry, scrambling for qualifications, hyping for financing, and defrauding subsidies. Eventually, they were unable to sustain their operations and were burdened with debt. The predecessor of Yangtze Motor was Hangzhou Yangtze Bus Company Limited, which was approved by the state as a designated bus manufacturer at the inception of the Chinese Communist Party. In the mid to late 1990s, the company was on the verge of bankruptcy, until in 2013 it was bought by the FDG Electric Vehicles Limited and restructured into Yangtze Motor. The founder of FDG Electric, Cao Zhong, made the company dual qualified. The so-called dual qualification means that the company has both fuel car and new energy car manufacturing approvals. Even NIO, Xiaopeng, and Li Auto were not able to obtain dual qualification at that time, which shows its rarity. That's why Li Ka-shing, the richest Chinese man, did not hesitate to invest 5.1 billion in FDG Electric for Yangtze Motor. Even the then CEO of Volvo China chose to quit and join this newly established new EV company. Claiming to build the largest new EV factory in Asia, Yangtze Motor was in the limelight for a while. In 2016, Yangtze Motor released 4 models, including pure electric small SUV, pure electric commercial vehicle, bus and minibus. However, until its bankruptcy, the SUV was not mass-produced, and the commercial vehicle, which cost the majority of its manpower, resources, and financials, only saw a little more than 3,000 licensed vehicles produced from 2016 to 2018. At the same time, Yangtze Motor began building car factories and R&D bases extensively. In 2 years, they not only opened production bases in Hangzhou City and Foshan City in Guangdong, Kunming City in Yunnan Guizhou, and Yantai City in Shandong, but they have also built production bases in the United States. With a cumulative annual production capacity of 60,000 units, the investment agreement with the Foshan government was up to an amount of 12 billion RMB. Yangtze Motor faced market skepticism over its purported plans for car manufacturing, which have yet to materialize in reality. The company's loud promises and lack of actual progress have led it down a path towards ruin. As early as 2016, Li Ka-shing continued to reduce his stake in FDG Electric, and in 2019 filed a bankruptcy petition against Cao Zhong in a Hong Kong court, asking him to repay a loan of 1.19 billion HKD. Cao Zhong, who once worked in the National Planning Commission, the predecessor of the National Development and Reform Commission, the highest economic management department of the Communist Party of China, drew suspicion that he was the first non-traditional car company to obtain the qualification of a new EV due to his connections. Cao himself also said that when he entered the new EV industry, he didn't understand cars at all. Zhu Jiangming, the founder of Leap Motors that was once a smash hit, also rushed into the field of new EV at that time. He admitted at the time, "When I first wanted to build a car in 2015, I really didn't know what qualifications there were in the car industry. When I went to recruit people, I didn't know who I wanted to recruit." The Chinese portal NetEase quoted a former employee as saying, right from the start, Yangtze Motor was there for government subsidies. Financial media outlet Yicai quoted two former employees of Yangtze Motor for saying that since the launch of the company's 10,000 vehicles annual capacity production line in 2016, only 2,000 to 3,000 vehicles have been produced, and many of them were sold to its subsidiaries or car leasing companies. This strategy of round-tripping was to gain huge subsidies from the government. In 2016, the Chinese authorities investigated the subsidies of 93 new EV companies across the industry and found that as many as 72 of them had defrauded the subsidies, involving nearly 80,000 vehicles and almost 9.3 billion yuan. On average, it was over 130 million yuan per company and 116,000 yuan per vehicle. The subsidy program not only drives domestic economic development, but also brought China's electric vehicles to the international market. According to data, in Europe, 1 out of every 10 new energy vehicles comes from China. In the first 11 months of 2022, China exported 2.78 million vehicles, surpassing Germany to become the world's second largest car exporter, of which 593,000 were new energy vehicles, a year-on-year increase of 1 times. However, for NIO and other car companies that have successfully entered Europe, they are not happy now. The chip ban in the United States may put them at a disadvantage when competing with their Western counterparts. In August 2022, the U.S. issued a ban on the export of NVIDIA 800 and 800 artificial intelligence chips to China. These two chips are not directly used in electric vehicles, but they are critical to the training of AI algorithms, including autonomous driving. Major Chinese EV manufacturers such as NIO, Xiaopeng, and Li Auto are all using the chip training algorithm. Among them, NIO is one of the first car companies to announce partnership with NVIDIA 800. At the end of 2021, Weilai announced that it will use the supercomputer built by NVIDIA 800 to train autonomous driving. Just 2 months later, the U.S. further tightened controls on chip exports, including a ban on sales to China of DRAM chips of 18 nanometers or less, NAND flash memory chips of 28 layers or more, and logic chips for FinFET processes of 14 nanometers or less. After the new year in 2023, the restrictions imposed by the U.S. on China in the chip field will be further escalated. Saying goodbye to the subsidy era means that the electric vehicle industry will switch from policy-driven to market-driven. Coupled with the chip ban, it is bound to worsen the development of EVs. The new energy vehicle industry, which is heavily supported by the government, will struggle to survive in a tight spot. It is not difficult to imagine that widespread bankruptcy or a large number of company failures similar to the chip industry will occur.